Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to The Deep Dive. It is Wednesday, and we power through the off season here as we wait in agony in what feels like an absolutely interminable amount of time for this game 3 of Celtics Warriors. One can only hope that the wait between game 3 and game 4 won't be as long. I feel like I'm nervous. I'm nervous about the Celtics. I have a big old fat position on them. This isn't like make or break anything, obviously, but I still really want to be right about this. I don't think I really want to talk much about sports other than, kind of hitting a couple of key interesting topics that are blowing up right now. I mean, yesterday was quite the day on Twitter. How was your day, Andy?
Yeah, I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on a Spaces the other day, and I gave somebody who works with the guy a hard time, and I wasn't even like serious about it, but I said, your golf reporter who reports on the PGA Tour has tweeted 13 times today, and 11 were about LIV, and not a single. And I said there was 13, and 11 were LIV, and the other 2 certainly were not RBC Heritage. They were all in tournament. It's just getting left out in the cold. Don't blame anybody. There's some big news, and I think it'll continue. We have a lot. I don't want to go full LIV again because I've done plenty of golf content this week, but Christ on a bicycle, there's going to be a lot yet. We have the major governing bodies of the 4 slams. I'm still in tennis mode right now. Have to determine, if they're going to let these players play. There's rumors of after they tee off on the first hole over in London that Monahan's going to make some sort of announcement, or there's going to be a press release. So much drama left to unfold, and I can't get enough of it. I'm fine with it. Little excitement.
Yeah, I think. God, dude, there's so many ways to talk about this. I really didn't even really. I think we'll get out of the gate and just say that I don't support the murderous regime that is behind all this. Even though we are going to give the LIV some shine here.
Is this the most brave take you've had since we came out as a anti COVID-19 podcast?
Yeah,
where we said like we do not support the virus.
Yeah, and
now you have it.
Now, I've been sick as a dog for going. This is week 3, man. This fucking sucks.
Holt
Absolutely
has a
sucks.
point. The Mickelson memes have been
that's where I kind of wanted to go.
If nothing else.
So obviously, I think this is extremely stupid that this is all happening. That's kind of my baseline. That any of the attention of the world right now is being focused on what multimillionaire golfers are choosing to do: take hundreds of millions of dollars or play on the PGA Tour. Like the fact that is a topic of interest, is crazy considering where we are as a country and a world right now. But that's
gas
fine.
is $6 a gallon, guys.
yeah, but I'm much more inclined to weigh in with my opinion about how DJ's morals are compromised now. There's a couple of things that deserve some attention. We'll get into the insanity that is the team's names, the team logos, the Mickelson photos. All of it is absolutely bananas. And I get why it's captivating and why it's gotten so much social media buzz in the last 48 hours. But at its core, I need to see the slide deck of the consulting firm that sold the Saudi regime on spending this money this way. Right? I need to hear the pitch where they were like, okay, we need to rehab your image. There's been a little too much murder in the regime. You got, some bad headlines out there. Here's how we fix it. $500 billion on golf. and then everyone's reacting now, like coming up with this term sports washing, and I've now heard 30 times in the last 4 days the term sports washing, and people acting like this has some storied history and sports washing is a thing. Can you walk me through who in their right mind didn't have their mind made up about what is going on in the Middle East and the kind of the collective right and wrong and actions of the various players, and then those people who were on the fence being swayed to the good because they were entertained by a golf tournament? Like,
Taylor Gooch had a pretty nice approach shot. So maybe these Saudis aren't so bad. No, and here's the other thing, and I've thought about this a lot with the sports washing being a buzz term this week, and a lot of people point to the World Cup that will be played this winter in Dubai. And if your goal, and maybe I'm not taking the long view on this enough, but if your goal is to improve your tarnished reputation through whatever means this is, I would think not drawing attention to yourself is better. Like, how many people, I guess just the general masses would bring up the atrocities in Dubai and some of these Middle East countries who've done this if we didn't have a golf? Like, do they think the trade-off is good enough long-term? Because like nobody in my little, collective on Twitter that I've curated is talking about Khashoggi if in any norm for many years like that. You're not just going to see that come up. So the fact that like they're, everyone knows what they're doing, like sports washing almost doesn't work because it's so obvious. And then everyone who, has a brain is just going to bring up, well, aren't you guys shitheads? And then, yes, again, I mean, to your point, it's going to be like, oh man, I mean, let's say worst case scenario. I mean, there's a few guys just their line in the sand has been drawn, but like Brooks, John Rahm, maybe some of the younger guys who we don't know if, quite where they stand, but, maybe especially some of the ones who are not American, I think they feel less beholden to the PGA Tour. You have Cam Smith, maybe a big name with a few wins like him goes, and you end up with Rahm, Cam, Brooks, Answer, some of these guys, Corey Connors, God, I don't know. Some of these guys move over, and it's like, all right, this tour is on par with the PGA Tour for talent, or approaching it. And again, is somebody being like, man, they did it. I forgive them.
Yeah.
Like it is good. It's I guess the good PR is something, but no one is ever going to associate that. I mean, do you associate good PR with like the sponsors? Be like, oh man, this was such an awesome tournament. I really feel like I have a more positive view of Wells Fargo as a bank, just because like Max, whoever's associated with the tournament. And again, it's just so weird that this was the strategy for all that money. And again, they have an obscene amount of money where this is apparently somehow just a drop in the bucket. Big numbers mess with people's heads, but I don't understand the strategy. And then the actual golf part of it, I'm still in wait and see mode because there's so many dominoes that have to fall yet. People have their mind made up about like, oh, the PGA Tour is just fine, you guys are idiots, or the PGA Tour is in dire trouble, you guys are idiots. Like, I've seen both those takes from some pretty rational people. Rationable. I'm just making up words. And I'm like, how can you guys say one way or the other? There's so much stuff that has to happen yet. Like, there's rumors of Augusta not letting any of these guys play. Yes, it's not Scotty and Rory and JT, but I mean, to just turn heel like that and leave out some of these legacy winners who have been, part of the win was you've been granted lifetime exemption status. Some of them have exemptions at the other majors based on wins there or wins at other places. If you like, and just Pollyanna Andy, who just wants everyone to get along. I hate it when people fight. I'm too Midwestern for conflict. The Midwest and the Middle East are two different places when it comes to conflict. But I would like to just let them play, let them have like 15 of their own events, and then whoever the fuck wants to, based on some new ranking system, based on how good you are, can go play the majors and the players and the memorial, and then we have a Super Bowl of golf at the end of the year. Like that just sounds fine to me. I don't know. Everyone's got to figure out a lot of stuff, and there's so many. It's like when people say, let's just go to a 32 team college football playoff. Like, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of money. There's kids that are in school. Like, there's so many things going on there. Some kids that are in school, I guess, but it's tricky. And the biggest problem I've had and somebody just says, what in the world is sports washing? I mean, it's just like using sports, sponsoring an event, or in this case, a league, which is kind of unprecedented, to improve your image as a entity or a country.
Yeah, it's usually around worldwide events like the Olympics.
Yeah.
Like if you think back to the 2008, China finally got to host the Olympics in Beijing, and they made a big fucking deal about it. And they really put on a show. They spent God knows how much, capital to build the venues and to really put on a show, to be like, hey, look at us. We are a first world country now. That was their goal. Maybe it spurred more tourism to China. Who knows? But it was definitely an intention to like prove to the world that they belonged in the conversation with the Europes and the, Americas, whatever. Similarly, Russia hosts the Winter Olympics in Sochi, and they use that as an opportunity to cheat their asses off, win a bunch of gold medals, and then you ride the wave of patriotism to Putin kind of gained popularity out of all that, and promptly invaded Crimea and took over part of Ukraine at the time, and and the rest is history.
I wonder I wonder if it works. Like, again, maybe I'm not seeing the long view, but for a sane Westerner, I don't think this changes our views of Saudi Arabia.
No,
but I'm not versed enough to tell you what the average Saudi Arabian feels about their country or their government, and maybe it's a play more locally it's
an internal play.
Well, internally, or maybe
to solidify the regime,
regionally, maybe to garner some respect from other countries. And I think they have so much money. Can't you just buy that kind of respect? I guess that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I guess the other kind of flaw in like the pitch deck, kind of weakness in the pitch of why to do this is it's called like LIV Golf, LIV Golf, whatever it's called. Like the only people that seem to know it's the Saudi Arabian product are the people who are against it.
or the people that are just way too close to golf. Like, if my dad will watch some golf, he'll watch the majors and stuff. If I asked him, he's probably heard of this. And there's a bunch of people who probably have no idea who it's affiliated with. By the time this gets going, they'd be like, oh, there's some other, is it like the European Tour or what is it? And then they'll find out it's in Oregon. And well, it's not the European Tour. It's just like another tour, but some big names are over there. I mean, it's akin to the USFL or, the ABA or whatever you want to make your analog to. It's just a different league, I guess. I don't know. I think, being in like golf Twitter, we're all too close to the problem.
Yeah,
and it's so silly that the screaming that's going on between the journos right now.
So before getting into the silly parts of this, I will say that there are like 3 likely outcomes from this. And I would say 2 of them are positive. One of them is positive. Right. There's an outcome where this doesn't ever pick up steam. Not a lot of players end up going. It's not a very good product because it's top heavy, and people becomes an afterthought, and it doesn't really impact the PGA Tour at all. That's kind of in my mind the most likely path that this goes down, just because there's so few events per year, and so
they say they're going to do 15 next year.
It feels like there's number one, there's so few events per year, and number two, it being an inaugural year or inaugural couple of years that they're going to invest money in this. There's not going to be prestige events like a Masters for people to really care about, right? So my guess is most likely outcome is this ends up being ultimately a nothing burger USFL trying to take on the NFL in the 80s kind of deal, right? Like that feels like the most likely outcome.
I have I'm going to interrupt that with a conspiracy theory. I think if you have enough money, you can not only buy players, you can not only start your outlaw rogue tour. I think you could buy a major. I think I think there's a sum of money that would convince the R&A to only let LIV players into the British Open. I'm not saying this year. They could not possibly with the level of players they have on the tour. But if they got to a spot where we got to a point where, let's say the balance of power is like 60-40, where the LIV is not the PGA Tour, but it's getting closer. Like how much money does it take to buy off the people that do the Open? Say, you're not letting PGA players in here anymore, just ours, because it still would be almost as good of a product. And you know what? It'll be way more Euros. It'll be way more Brits. Like we're not gonna let and again, they'd let in who they'd let in based on the rules. But that's my fun conspiracy theory for like 5 years down the road.
I will. I mean, assuming it lasts 5 years, I will entertain that because who the hell knows what the financial state of something like that is.
Even if it does poorly,
yeah,
I don't think it's just gonna stop. Like they've put aside this money to just burn.
Okay, so that
they can burn it for a while.
Yeah, and oh, by the way, like I should mention on path number one, it feels like they're picking the pocket of the future of the PGA with some of the amateurs they've grabbed, and it feels like they're picking the pocket of the European Tour, honestly, which was always kind of
DP Tour might be fucked.
Yeah, that and if anyone suffers if this ultimately fizzles in 5 years or whatever, then that's kind of, I think the damage was done there. And there'll be some hard, some hard feelings. Outcome number two, which is positive, is this ultimately flames out, but it forces the PGA to reckon with the way they compensate their players, and it changes the structure and the nature of PGA compensation in a way that we get better golf out of it somehow. Like that's not crazy, right?
I think it's going to be a combination between it doesn't. I think yours are so, I don't know, concrete, where it just feels like a mix of it. Like it feels like it won't flame out because they've said they're not going to let it.
Path number one is PGA wins because it fizzles. Path number two is PGA wins because they change. Yeah.
And I think it's a combination of none of one. I think it's a combination of probably whatever three is, with the PGA changing and improve. I think really there's no way that the PGA doesn't improve from this, because they'll have to. Like the fizzling out just isn't a thing. They've said we have $500 billion we can just pump into this. We're going to do this for years, because they know it's not just going to be an overnight success. They don't have the players yet, so like it won't fizzle away. And with their insistence on stealing the younger players, eventually the PGA has to know that's going to be a problem. Like when your players age out and you can't replace them with good young amateurs anymore, that's going to be the issue. So like they know they're going to have to change something when it comes to how they treat younger players. It used to be a real grab your hard hat, your lunch pail, earn your dues, grind it out, drive around, play some Monday qualifiers. But like these high end younger players are going to get, which is honestly, if you're like 15 years old, first off, you shouldn't be listening to this for a gambling podcast. You can't gamble. But if you're like the best golfer in the state, this is your wet dream. My God, you are either going to, just keep at it, go hit the range, turn this off, because you are either going to, if you turn into one of the best golfers in the country and a great amateur, like you're either going to get one of these live checks, or by the time you get up there, the PGA is going to have changed a lot about how young golfers are treated, and you're going to get the PGA check. Like I really think it's going to be a heyday for some of these young guys, just like it is for the best NFL players that aren't NFL players yet. You know what I'm saying? Like being a first round draft pick comes with a shitload of money for somebody who hasn't done shit yet. And it's going to be the same thing. Like, yeah, this guy won the Texas Amateur and he won the, US Midlands Amateur, whatever. And he hasn't made any money, but we have to write him a fat check, or he's going to go be playing for Jack. I said Gary. Sorry, Jack. I just have that animatronic Jack in my head. I can't get that out. Nightmare fuel. My God.
Okay. So the third path then, PGA doesn't adjust and they don't win. In which case there are two competing tours of equal status when we're talking about golf in 5-10 years. What chance do you give that?
I know they're not terribly progressive, but boy, I can't see them not changing anything. Like, they have to already know. And again, so much of what we're talking about depends on what happens with the so here's my hypothetical to you. If you're Jay, if you're the PGA, if you're the players who have decided they're standing firm playing on the PGA, do you want to see the Masters, the committee? Do you want to see the USGA, the USPGA, and the RNA? Do you want to see them tell the LIV to just bugger off? Like, is that your best case scenario? Because yes, it probably weakens players' resolves to go there if they know they can never play a major again. But also, it dilutes some of the biggest events that you're playing with. Maybe not by a ton yet, but eventually it does affect those tournaments. And those tournaments are huge draws to, again, even though you don't manage it as the PGA, they're huge draws to your sport, helps promote the sport for the rest of the year. And if the fields get weaker in those majors, it's not good for your product long term.
That's
so
fair.
that's a tricky one to me. That's why I've been thinking back and forth. Like, well,
I guess
if I'm Jay, what would I rather see?
So I would much, much, much rather that they proactively try to improve the way that the players feel. Like, they can do small things, right? You focus on small things, you focus on money, compensation specifically to keep players who are, on tour, and attack it that way rather than going at that, at the defectors aggressively. I think that's a better strategy. I'd rather see them do that. I'd rather see the PGA Tour change in a positive way.
Well, for everyone. Sure. I hope that's the end result.
Then, basically say, okay, well, we're going to make pariahs out of these guys and dilute our own product, which sounds pretty foolhardy, in my opinion. Augusta can do whatever they want, but they probably got to let the guys who have won titles continue to compete there. I don't know that changed. I don't know that helps your case keeping those guys out.
It'd be funny. Because again, they can say whatever they want and do whatever they want. They don't have to have any sort of reasoning. It'd be funny if they came out and said, this long-winded statement about how, this is not an indictment or this is not an endorsement of the breakaway tour. And, we do support the PGA. We've worked with them for years. This is a big part of the schedule that falls into the PGA schedule. We're going to allow players who've joined the LIV to play on the tour. Anyone who's won here has, lifetime status to continue to play. And then at the end, they just say, except Phil. just throw it in. Just toss it. And just don't give any reasoning. Just because we don't. Just
because, yeah.
Because I still wonder about him not even coming for the Champions Dinner last year. I still feel like there's a non-zero chance that he was just asked not to be there. And if that turned out to be true, that just based on him being rumored to take this money to possibly join a tour that didn't exist yet, they asked him to not even show his face on the ground, then I think the Masters not letting these players in rumor
is probably happening.
Very real.
Yeah.
Very founded, which stinks.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do?
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the actual kind of format here. It's a 54-hole golf tournament. Is that right? That's the LIV kind of tie-in.
No cut, shotgun start, which I like.
Shotgun start, no cut, 54 holes. Everybody is on a quote-unquote team.
I don't really understand the team aspect, but there's extra money for that. So, if you drafted a good team, and again, speaking of Augusta making their own rules, these guys are doing the same thing. So they said, "Hey, we're having a draft, but
The teams
a
are
few of the
predetermined. Yeah.
well, not all of them.
Oh,
Like they had a draft. I guess that was legit, but some players had already agreed to play on certain teams. So like, hey, this guy's off limits. You can't draft him. And then when it comes around, I think it was maybe the South African team. They all played together and they drafted each other. A couple teams were like that. So it was like, you can draft anyone, but not these 6 guys. They're already on teams. So a little odd. Yeah, I don't fully understand the team aspect. I think it's just based on like, how did your team do during round 1? And then if they were better than I'm guessing it's just cumulative score of the team that they're facing in the bracket that day, then your team advances, even though it's not no cut. Like, so if your team doesn't advance, nothing changes about.
You still keep playing.
You just still keep playing golf. You're just no longer playing for the team that day. So like, I don't. It's akin to like how they do wrestling. That the national championship for wrestling.
Okay.
It's not like they put 13 on 13, and everyone just goes out there and wrestles. Like, it's based on, you wrestle for an individual national championship.
That's like every
that medal
sport. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's similar. You get the team points. So like, even if your team were eliminated at that point, it's not like to be like, Cornell doesn't have enough points to win this. We're not going to let you wrestle.
Okay,
so I think they just keep going.
So if you're not great, but you do just well enough, and your other 3 teammates kick ass, you get extra money. Basically, you get a bonus check. And for those of us in the betting space, there's more to bet on because now you can bet team matchups and things like that.
I would have no idea how to. I'd bet daily matchups between teams. That'd be fun. Adding up fucking 8 scores to try to figure out. Well, yeah. I'd have to set up a spreadsheet with that and just have a scraper pull the.
No, there's more betting opportunities there. I get that. That's cool. But ultimately, the teams themselves, are they going to be in uniforms?
See, and this was the other thing that I mentioned that would be kind of cool. What is golf lack that all the other major sports have?
Yeah, jerseys.
You can't buy your jersey. Like, I'd buy a DJ 4 Aces, which just said DJ. They should do it like the one. What's the one event where they let them have fun and put whatever they want on the caddy's back?
You're asking the wrong person.
I don't think it out loud. It may just be Pebble Beach because it's the Pro-Am. I gotta think.
Oh, the Pro-Am. That does sound right.
But similar to that, where they let you put or the XFL, where remember He Hate Me.
Oh, sure.
Everyone does. That's smart. It should be like that, where you get to make your jersey and put whatever you want on the back.
Okay. I like this.
Just DJ.
Okay.
Yeah, Team Cliques. I read the explanations for some of these team names.
What are cliques?
I don't remember. It was like a type of club. It's like, oh, this was what they called like a fairway wood in the 1840s in Ireland. It harkens back to the game's roots here in Scotland. So
okay.
I don't know, man.
Okay. The teams themselves, the drafting and the fanfare yesterday and the release of the logos and all of that.
Fireball.
It was something.
It was a spectacle.
It was a spectacle. Absolute joke in terms of graphic design. But ultimately got them more traction. More people were willing to make comments and tweet and be like, I want a fart hat. Because one of the logos is a fart.
You damn.
But yeah, like it was on and on and on of like people just reacting to how terrible this was. And like we live in a weird age where that has some social currency because like it's getting shared. It's better than like everybody completely ignoring you if the logos were average, right? And I again, like this all seems relatively rushed. Like a weekend change ago, we didn't even know which golfers were going to be participating in this. And now, it turns out they have captains on teams and there's 4 players per team and the teams have logos. Like this all feels very hastily thrown together.
With draws and mass from Canada.
Yeah. This is all very spur of the moment. How did that come about? Like that this was such a like on the fly type of deal.
Well, that's the thing. They always had the dates set up. They had the dates in the venues. That was the joke everyone made. Be like, we don't have a roster of golfers yet, though.
Yeah. So like this is very weirdly like by the fly by the seat that we didn't know Phil was in it until this week. Was it Monday that Phil was confirmed in?
Yeah, it was always implied, but yeah, he
but
didn't
we
like
didn't
make his official.
They had like the 47 of the 48 names, and they were waiting for the 48th. And then Monday it was like, it's Phil. And then Tuesday he shows up
Monday
looking like that.
What's Monday, Drew?
Release.
What's Monday, Drew, with your locals?
Settle up day.
Settle up day. He had to wait. Phil got announced on settle up day.
He needed that check to clear, and then he could
go meet with a guy.
I see.
He brought an envelope. He's like, "Hey guys, I can't until I meet this guy with an envelope." Shouldn't make fun of Phil's gambling because you never know with these. It's almost like one of those, Apple. What's the notes? Apologies that people put on Twitter.
Yeah,
like, hey, guess what? Yeah. Hey, that wasn't sincere at all. And you didn't write that either. Feels like some of the stuff Phil said wasn't in that vein. But again, you never know. Like if I was a problem gambler and I wanted to keep gambling, I would say the same stuff so people didn't worry about me. Like, no, I'm fine. Is the Yankees game started?
I can stop whenever I want. Yeah, 0-0. The Glaber Torres just hit it to a double play. Not a lot of runs there. Not great. The bases loaded, Glaber Torres 1 out, and we get a double play.
Oh, we get ducks in the pond. That's all you need.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, this all feels very hastily put together, and I guess let's talk about Phil for an extended moment here. Photos come out of him at this event yesterday. He looks, I don't know, what's the right word? Cracked out? Is that being too kind?
It's not nice. But yeah.
Like, what's going on with him?
Haggard.
Haggard. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, really just like looked extremely run down. Major divorced dad vibes.
He just looks so much cooler with sunglasses on.
Well, that's very true. That's true of a lot of people, though. So what do you think ultimately is going on with him? Is he in an okay place?
Yeah, I think he's fine. Okay. Did you see how much money he got?
Well, and do we really know how that works?
No one really explained it. Like, do you get it all up front, or is it
Adderall killing nothing? That's right.
Yeah, no, it might be just Addies. He might be just crushing up an Adderall. But no, I'm not going to speculate on the contents of Phil's bloodstream.
Blood chemistry. Yeah,
I don't know. He seemed okay. He's a weird dude. Like, he made that commercial where he's dancing a few years ago. Like, I'm more worried about that than anything I saw yesterday. The camera just makes you look weird. He looked like he was having a good time. Okay.
That's as charitable a commentary as I've ever heard with that kind of a clear and obvious, looked like a visual cry for help. So we don't know about the payouts. We don't know exactly how the compensation works. Did the players who did not make this initial jump make a mistake in terms of how they will be compensated? Like, will there be an incentive? Like, if Spieth picked up the phone and was like, I'm going to listen to your offer now, like, do they have to give him more than Phil to make him make the jump? Or are they like, can they ramp down their compensation from here? And how do they even come up with these numbers? Is it like a Q score? Are they using like a Q score sort of system here to pay these guys? What is your read on that?
It just feels like they're just like they take a gold bar, they drop it on a calculator, and whatever numbers pop up, they just add as many zeros as they need. Like, I wonder about some of these guys where wouldn't you just have your agent call, be like, ask him for $500 million, see what happens. Like, if you're somebody big, see what they say.
So I guess, do you think we will continue to see sticker shock with the players that go in the next wave?
I've thought a lot about that. I have no idea if there's going to be some like, you weren't there for us at the beginning. The prices went down. Like there was a premium to be the brave picket line crossers that came to us at first. So I do think that makes sense, but I have no idea. It might just be like, no, our offers are our offers. Like they might just have a ledger with like the top 500 golfers in the world, and there's a number next to each of them. And
I mean, if Bryson
they look at it,
if
be like,
Bryson
oh,
gets
Jordan,
if
120.
Bryson gets 200 million and you're DJ and you got 125, aren't you immediately renegotiating? You're trying to, right?
I don't know if these are the kind of people you renegotiate. What are you gonna do? Go in there and start throwing stuff around? Get mad? Good idea. I don't know. I think it's probably just discussed. Like, this is what you're worth to us.
Here's another key question about the compensation. Do you think any of this is agents, NFL contracts type stuff? Agents out there beating their chest about the giant number that ultimately is completely unachievable because it's tied to performance in some way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a big number. Like, it doesn't matter what it's tied to. You got to beat your chest. Like, look at this.
No, I know, but like I guess in the range of 0 to 1 probability wise, the chances that Phil Mickelson realizes $200 million out of this contract that he signed.
Oh, probably not good, right? Like, somebody's taking a cut of that.
No, I'm not saying take.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
Like, it's tied to performance in some way. Like, he has to win X. Like, there's like, because like,
I think
every NFL quarterback signs a contract, and the agent's out there the next day saying, "Up, richest contract ever for my quarterback." And then you dig into the fine print, and you're like, "This is actually a 3-year, $50 million deal."
No, I think it just probably there's expectations. Like, you can't just be like, I'm skipping 4 events out of the 8. Like, I think it just you play all the events to get your money, right? So I don't know. Maybe there's something if someone's got injured.
14 events or 12 events. Was it 12 events a year?
There's 8 this year, and then I think there's 15 next year.
All right. So in the first 2 years, Phil Mickelson plays all 23 events, gets last at all 23 events. His team never wins an extra dollar. He is walking home with $200 million minus his agent, minus his taxes.
Plus, no, he's walking home with much more than that. Last place in this event takes up $120,000.
Last place. Oh, that's right.
If he would, like, it's an extra like $3 or $4 million just to get last place in every event for 2 years. Fuck, he passes. He finishes in the top 20 half the time. It's like an extra $10 million. There's a lot of prize money. That's where I just wonder if they even give a shit. Like, as long as you show up, like, it seems like they might just be once they got the names, what else matters? Show up, play the event. It's not like they're going to get, you played bad, so we didn't get to see you on Saturday and Sunday. No, it's a no-cut event. You're playing all 54. It doesn't matter if you're 13 over. Like, you're still a big name, and you're going to keep playing. Dance for me, Phil. I have no idea. Obviously, a lot of speculation on our parts, but I would assume it's just the main driver of it is you have to come play. The broadcast rights. So I really doubt there's going to be a broadcast channel that takes these ones on. But I thought about it, and someone on Twitter's like, "Oh man, if this isn't on TV, like, who's going to watch it?" I'm like, "Well, I can tell how old this guy is." First,
well, that's the golf audience, dude.
I know, but I don't know. There's the golf gambling audience that I talk to.
Yeah, they're watching Flash Score and Data Golf.
Well, no, I mean, I would say, of the golf I've watched this year, I would say 90-10 streaming on a computer or a computer screen in my office compared to on a television.
That's
from a channel.
That's a very fair split for anyone who's betting golf.
Yeah, to the point of or anyone basically under the age of 30 who's streaming for the most part anyway, doesn't have cable anymore. Like, the most annoying thing to me is when golf switches from streaming ESPN to terrestrial ESPN, and I have to figure out, like, oh shit, I gotta like figure out how to watch golf now through a different kind of stream, if you know what I mean. It's not on the ESPN Plus right now. Like I want to just go click a button and stream it easily. And I mean, you get that with ESPN Plus. You get that with the Masters app. You get that with I guess whatever CBS is doing is usually pretty easy.
Okay.
So I think not being on TV might not be a problem.
Probably going to be
Yes,
easier.
as Cal says, zero warning. It just goes to your event has ended. It's like they expect you to put another quarter in the machine or something.
You know what? I got a prediction for you. It's going to be easier to watch LIV Golf than it was to watch the French Open.
Oh my God! Yes, some of these.
That was something.
It was difficult.
Some of those quarterfinals where the whole damn tournament was decided. You couldn't get it live without cheating. Anyway, okay. I guess last final question on you. Is there anyone in the universe who is looking to athletes for any kind of moral guidance on anything at all? And who in the fuck cares who these guys are ultimately getting paid by and for what purpose?
So the answer is no, but if you are, I think some of it's subconscious. Where if you're young and impressionable and you really look up to these players, I think there is some problems with some of these players not being the best role models. Like that's such a fucking boomer take, but like for sure
was, man. That was
I know, but like, but the more I think about it, like the way that some of these NBA stars or these NFL stars are idolized, and if they're like shitheads publicly, like that does affect, for the people in their formative years. Let's say, and let's just come out and say, like, especially at the NBA, you got, let's say inner city kids, maybe not in the best socioeconomic areas, where maybe they're not getting a ton of guidance from parental figures, especially if somebody is not in a good, if you're not from a good home and your parents are working 2 jobs or something, and you're not getting a ton of parenting. I'm not saying like they're getting all their parenting from their favorite NBA player, but it's a small part of it. Like there is a small subconscious part of it, but honestly, like if you make poor decisions in your life and you try to like say, well, these sports figures in my life did this first, like that's not going to work. Like you can't go there. Like, it would be nice if all these people were angels and great role models for everyone who looked up for them. That's not realistic. They're human.
Yeah. I guess my question is like, is watching a golfer who decided to go for the money and play on this tour and be compensated by a murderous autocrat make you want to be a murderous autocrat?
No, see, and that's where I would say, and I was going to, finally move over to actual golf and say, like, Phil having a crippling gambling addiction,
yeah, sure,
publicly, is probably worse in that subconscious role modeling than anything being tied to the Saudi government. Like if kids, if kids are like, oh, gambling, like what's gambling? We can gamble.
Well, let's talk about.
Scored.
Oh, did they? Oh, fucking finally! What, 1 run? Yeah, nice job.
What? That's how you open. That's how you open the floodgates.
I hope so. Let's put a crooked number on the board, fuckers. I guess other than inspiring people to pick up a golf club and become a golfer, I don't know what these guys are doing.
Or an autocrat.
Or an autocrat. I just don't know. I don't know what the path to people being concerned about this. Yeah. No, they're certainly not talking about LIV golfing. And they're certainly not talking about how do I become the king of of an oil rich regime in the middle of the desert.
I didn't want to bring this up, but yeah, my kids are at their grandparents right now. But
Oh,
we
don't let
talk.
them catch you watching LIV Golf.
Well, no, we talk. My daughter. Oh my God, my daughter has. This is a sidebar. My daughter has Snapchat because it's an easy thing to add to an iPad because we won't get her a phone yet, and her friends just snap each other.
Yeah,
because she can't text.
sure.
So I added Snapchat to talk to her, and it's hilarious. But I used to have Snapchat when it was new, and then I just didn't like it because it's dumb. So I got rid of it. So I logged into it using the same credentials and stuff, and it has my little Bitmoji saved and anything. So anyone knows how to change your Bitmoji, hit me up because I have gained some weight. It doesn't look like me anymore. Either way, no, I talk to the kids. So I talk to the kids, and we do video chats, and they asked me about it. I said, Dad, what's going on with this golf tour? I heard there's just some bad people they're taking money from. Didn't know what to say. It's hard as a parent, Drew. They both
I can't tell if you're being completely full of shit. You said that so sincerely. You had me completely taken.
I've been watching the news, Dad.
Been watching the news. What's going on with this tour? Why are they taking mercenary money?
Yeah, I thought Lefty was a good guy, Dad.
Yeah, and
my kid's left-handed.
Lefty. Yeah, the over/under for a number of hearts and minds that are swayed in favor of the Saudi government in all of this money spent, it's like a half person, 0.5, and juicy to the under. I don't see this ultimately achieving any of whatever their stated goals are in terms of softening their worldwide image. If it's to if it's to ultimately kind of boost the internal morale of the state of Saudi Arabia, and they are getting that out of people being proud that they're sponsoring a new golf tour that's taking on the mighty American golf tour, then I guess that serves some nefarious purpose, and that's not good. But seriously, seems like the Saudis have too much money. They should probably be spending it at home. Instead, they're giving it to Phil Mickelson for whatever reason. And this is all a big nothing burger in my mind.
You said the best case scenario was that the PGA Tour has to make some changes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get the full Rocky IV ending where, the Saudi government becomes more and more exposed to the ways of the Western world. And they go back and be like, we have got to stop murdering people. He's like, they don't do it out in the of course the U.S. government murders people all the time, but they're
murder is a strong word.
I don't know. I've watched a lot of movies, but
in combat it's different.
I feel like the CIA is fucking
state-sponsored murder.
State-sponsored murder. That's what I'm saying. But I think they come back and be like, when the U.S. does it, they're a lot sneakier about it. We can't just do this out in the open, guys. Maybe that's the improvement they make, and then the PGA Tour improves too. Or maybe they just stop murdering people at all. That would be great for everyone involved. So
yeah. Well,
I don't know. Call me hopeful.
I can tell you, as much awareness as this is ultimately, because there's a little bit of a Streisand effect about a lot of this, really, right?
Streisand effect.
There's a little bit of that, right? Do you know why Jamal Khashoggi was murdered? Have you been kind of inclined to look into that a little bit? Maybe this makes you look into that a little bit, right? What exactly was he especially critical of that they were completely intolerant of letting him?
That goes back to my point at the beginning. I said, if anything, it's just opening up Pandora's box on their litany of crimes over the years.
Yeah,
to people who haven't cared for a while.
Yeah, it's very Streisand.
Same thing with Dubai. It's
Qatar, Qatar with
Qatar,
yeah. Qatar with the
I keep saying Dubai. I feel bad.
Labor stuff.
This is my apology to the country of Dubai.
I'm sure Dubai also very questionable politics, so I wouldn't stress that out too much.
To be fair.
Yeah, I wouldn't stress too hard on that. All right. Well, I'm still, call me skeptical that this ever makes any kind of a cultural impact beyond just the week we had laughing at the god awful logos and the terrible Phil Mickelson pictures. If those two things stand the test of time as what you remember the most of the LIV Golf experience, I won't be surprised.
I think they make it.
Just because of there's an insatiable appetite for more golf.
They just have so much money.
No, I know, but that doesn't mean that. No, that's different than making it.
Yeah, but
Making it,
existing.
you're saying
They don't have to. They don't have to be profitable or popular. They by making it means, in my mind,
in 5 years they're still spending money on this endeavor.
No, making it in my mind for them does not mean they have. You don't need a single fan in the stands. You don't need a single person watching you on TV. Making that to them is, in 5 years, they've stolen enough players from the PGA that it's close enough. You know, even if it's 30-70 as far as skilled players, like getting to that point where it's close, that's making it, because it's not going away just because they're not going to look at the spreadsheet and be like, oh, Bob, and we're not selling enough concessions. They're like, it doesn't matter. They have the what's the Flex Seal thing, and it's just $100 bills, just. So I don't think it's going anywhere. And if they continue to throw money at young players, it's just going to make it by fucking attrition.
Interesting.
Because I don't think they're like, oh no, the first year didn't go so good, let's pull the plug. Like they've kind of pot committed a shitload of money to do this for many, many years. So I really think the onus is on the PGA to improve many, many things about how they treat young golfers.
I don't know.
And bring young golfers in. If you lose all the young golfers, like imagine there was no rookies, all the first round rookies in the NFL just didn't go to the NFL for 10 years. Like the quality of the product would drop.
Patrick McCann makes a point that I'm thinking of, which is there could very easily be a shuffle with the power structure there, and they could decide, you know what, $500 billion could be better spent on anything else, really, like preparing yourself for a future where there's a greener energy and your oil reserves aren't worth as much money. That completely perfectly fine strategic way to spend money on that resource, in general, just building up your infrastructure to be a more sustainable country in a time where you're entering global conflict. Like that seems smart too. Yeah. Like there's a lot of things you could spend that money on. That's a hell of a lot better than a golf tour.
And again, it sounds like so much money. It's just not to them. Like that's the wild part is like, I think it's just been earmarked. And I don't think we're going to move away from oil dependence fast enough for them to worry about. I think the world could probably switch to all electric tomorrow, and they'd still be like, well, we had a good run and we have all this money. Like we could just invest it in bonds and live off the, what's 1% of a quadrillion? A lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I don't know. I think realistically,
I hope it makes
there's a potential for a power shift where people are like, I don't know. I'm glad I was not the consultant making the pitch that this is some sort of great way of improving.
Who needs it to make it? That guy.
Yes, absolutely. He does. Yes,
he's banking on this working.
Yeah, unless he's got a rocket ship to get to Mars or something. Otherwise, he is not safe.
Yeah, when DJ signed, he had to just do cartwheels.
Yeah.
And Taylor Gooch. But yeah, and again, the media going full hyperbole wasn't great either. Like, you're not in the golf chat, but I mean, some of the hypotheticals they asked, like, would you play for in a tour event in the 90s for apartheid South Africa? Like, I mean, are you gonna? This is in London.
No, I draw the line at apartheid.
Yeah, I draw like what are you? It's kind of like the famous David Stern. Who was the? Was it Jim Rome? The David Stern, Jim Rome, the tenuous question, where he asked him like, I don't want to besmirch Jim Rome if it wasn't him, but remember David Stern said, because he was asking him an unanswerable question basically, and he came back with, he said, "Have you stopped beating your wife?" Yeah,
I remember that
because there's no answer that works to answer that question. And it's the same kind of thing. Like, why are we asking these?
I mean,
all right, guys, put yourself. It's 1936.
Yeah, it was
a young German artist invites you to a new golf tour. Like, what were we doing with these questions, guys? I kind of feel bad for, and I don't ever feel bad for Ian Poulter.
Yeah. I mean, they also could have just said no and moved on.
Yeah.
Like,
They should have been like, no, that's weird. I was like 9.
yeah, no, apartheid was bad, man. I went to grade school. I learned that.
Yeah, I saw Invictus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Austrian
know, man.
artist, sorry. Here's a little hint, guys. Austrian, Germany, same thing.
Place.
It's the same place. Fucking Switzerland, parts of Czechoslovakia, they're all the same people. I've been there. You can cross a border, have no idea.
That's very true.
Nobody looks any different. Nobody's talking any different.
Except Liechtenstein, honestly. Actually, was surprising.
Oh, no,
Liechtenstein, they stop you and they give you the, what are you doing here?
Yeah, why you come to Liechtenstein?
What brings you to Liechtenstein?
Rock the Casbah. That's just a good song, Eric. You know what I might do is listen to Sandinista tonight. That is the rare. I don't even know if people know what a triple album is anymore. Things don't come on discs or records anymore. Rare triple album.
Yeah.
You know what that is, Drew. You're old.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Fair enough.
I'm just trying to figure out how the Yankees got a double with a man on and the guy didn't score. Aaron Hicks slow as he running in mud.
I guess, yeah, bum ankle, something like that. Casbah is an open-aired market.
Oh. I feel like that's a very common thing in the Middle East, ironically.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap it up and go watch some basketball. How about that?
Cal, I noticed Cal's near. This is a rope hat. It's gold rope.
Who is your picks, by the way, for the RBC that's getting overshadowed this week?
RBC Heritage, not RBC Heritage, RBC Open.
RBCO.
I did play Corey Connors, the Canadian. I'm cheering for a hometown, just a small town boy. Corey, Shane Lowry, Sugar Shane Lowry.
Okay.
And a little further down the board, I played Christian Kirk.
Ooh.
I played Mr. Munoz, Sebastian, who is a absolute nightmare when it comes to VLOOKUP because some places put the fun little things above some letters in his name. Just a nightmare importing that into Google Sheets because some of those characters come across as gibberish. And then way down the board, I did play some long shots.
Gibberish, and you can't even do a global replace on them.
No, you can't global replace a character that like it doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's just like the box OBJ, you know. I digress. JJ Spawn and Alex Smalley are my long shots. One of those men, Smalley, was like 175-1. And then a cheeky parlay that Link doesn't even know about yet.
Oh.
Sam Burns to win the tournament, 14-1, parlayed with Louis Oosthuizen to win the LIV Open or whatever the fuck it's called.
Oh.
164-1, guys.
Burns Louis, huh? Louis gotten shown you enough after coming off that injury layoff that you're getting in bed with him to win a tournament. Huh?
I mean, just there's not that many other good golfers. It's like either DJ here's a hot take just for Cal before we go. DJ goes 0 for 8 in the first year. Does not win a tournament
because of the drugs.
I just don't think he cares. Why would he have to care? He's like, I'll get like 10th. That's like 2 million or God knows what. So let's go.
Do you want to see Bryson go to the tour and just go full on Hulk with the steroids?
Yes. No drug testing. And I brought this up. In
full on
chat.
like everything.
So when
all the designer drugs.
When he was improving how far he could hit the ball, a big part of it was the length of his club shaft. Anyone who studies physics, you understand like the further something is away, the centripetal force.
Surely.
So there's a limit on how long your shaft can be. God damn it, Andy. Don't clip that, Dan.
There's a limit on how long your shaft can be. Okay.
There is a limit on your shaft length. Maybe girth too. I have no idea, but there is a length limit. And I'm hoping like that the LIV just says, fuck it, use whatever you want. I could put springs in there. I don't care. And he comes out with this comically long club. Cause like on the long drive contests, If you've ever watched that, those clubs are wildly long. So I want to see some length to it. And Eric brings this up again. The where it will be televised.
They're going to figure that out tomorrow, probably.
I think that's more of like they're sorting it out the last second thing.
All of this feels extremely last minute.
There's a decent chance that it is just like, here's a YouTube link, guys. And literally, like, it would not surprise me if it was just like on some LIV YouTube channel, and this was the official broadcast. Here's a live stream on YouTube. So which again would be fine with me because I would put it up on my other monitor.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well, best of luck to you in your endeavors. Go Sam Burns. Anyone you are especially eyeing in the U.S. Open market as we approach?
Sam Burns.
You think he goes back to back?
Well, I don't think he wins this week. It'd be nice, but I do think he wins this week. You know, it'd be nice to win. Someone who's been awful close. I've been just hammering on this guy. I try to tell Cal, this guy's been good in majors. Will Zalatoris. I think he can finally. He is maybe of the level where he breaks his maiden at a major event.
You think Zal or Cam Young first?
Cam Young would be great.
Which of those two guys first?
I think Zal. Sal's. He looks hungry. He's champing at the bit.
Okay. Terry Bradford says that LIV will be on Dazen.
I didn't know if you were just going to give up on that and say
Dazen? Diazia? Is it pronounced as a word?
Is that the ED? Is that the the Electric Daisy Carnival? What I'm thinking of? A whole different thing.
Design?
I don't know. The Zone.
I
don't know if Dan's fucking with us or not on that. He's typing fast now. They have boxing. Yeah, Cal knows.
Boxing.
The Zone.
Okay.
100% serious.
Yeah.
The Zone.
Yeah, and Eric, maybe they will allow PEDs. I can guarantee you that they have no problem with the PED part of this.
Oh my God, Bryson's going to be disgustingly big.
Yeah, he's going to look like.
I'm trying
to think of like maybe more like The Rock, maybe more like.
I know. I was thinking like a wrestler, like a WWE.
Yeah, he's going to look like a wrestler. Yeah, it's going to be something. He's going to have no hair.
One event.
Terrible back knee. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be something.
We'll end it on back knee. Yeah. So, from here until the 4th of July, we are going to actually take the time, line up some good guests. We had a good meeting last week, or on Monday. We have a bunch of good names in the hopper. We're going to get them on here, and then after the 4th of July, baby, we are switching over to football. Football is your whole life football talk. Very excited about that. Tatum's shoulder, I think he'll rub some dirt on it there, Jason. That's not what I want to hear. Yeah, we got to get going. Don't like a
missed free throw after that. Made the second though. Oh, keep an eye on this space. All right, man. Let's check in again next week, and best of luck to the golf tours, I suppose.
Yep.
Too early to say Celtics or Warriors, but I like the start here. Al Horford involved. Every time the Celtics, Jaylen Brown makes the first basket for the Celtics, they win. I have to dig into that.